Good day. Okay, there's all kinds of teachers out there, and I've got to categorize them into three groups: the good, the bad, and the plainly just weird. Okay, but before I start, meditation is something you learn. You teach yourself, really, from your own experience, from your own doing of it. Other people, their experience, yeah, it's useful. Um, there are a lot of people out there who've been meditating for a long time now in our society. You know, it's not unusual now to find people who have been practicing for 30 or 40 years, and you can learn something from their experience. But it's your own experience, it's your own effort. That's where you learn to meditate. You can be told about it, you can be directed in good directions, but you teach yourself, basically. So, good teachers. I had a couple. Uh, both of these people were very caring people. They were honest. They were very easy to respect as people. There was no pretension with them. Um, they had their own idiosyncrasies. There's no such thing as a perfect person. But they were sincere. They were direct in their dealings with other people. One was a practicing yogi, and the other was a practicing Buddhist. Now, you couldn't get two different outlooks on life. The philosophies are almost diametrically opposite to each other. So I learned a lot about yoga and I learned a lot about Buddhism, and you know, learned their techniques, and skills, and attitudes and philosophies. But that isn't actually the most that I got. What these people embodied, who they were as people. You learn a lot more about meditation from those people who actually embody it. And most of it's not verbal. It's just you see them, you get to know them, you see how they respond to situations and other people, how they respond to yourself, who they are as people. They actually teach you a lot about meditation, just in who they are. These are good teachers. Now, I didn't accept or believe everything that they thought. And these two individuals, if I had differing views or different opinions or different ideas, I could raise it with them happily. And it was a matter for discussion. Um, and I was treated with respect. It didn't matter that their um, level of competence or experience far exceeded my own. Um, and everything was a matter of sharing and comparing, um, and mutual understanding. Now, there are plenty of people in our society just like that. They don't have to be meditation teachers. They can be anybody. They can be people you meet down the street. They can be family members. They can be your best friend. They can there are all kinds of livelihoods that they might be engaged in, and they might never have heard of meditation. That doesn't make them good teachers. It's who they are. It's what they embody. That's the essence of a good teacher. They're open-minded. They're not dogmatic in their views. They're sincere individuals who are engaged in their own pursuit of understanding. And if you meet one of those and they happen to be teaching meditation, do a good thing. Okay. Man. Though there were plenty of good people around, oh, there's a lot of bad teachers out there. Okay. So, what constitutes a bad teacher? Okay. Um, First, you have to understand what a teacher needs to be able to do in order to teach. Uh, they might teach on a one-to-one basis. They might teach a group of people. They might teach a large number of people. Now, as anyone who puts themselves forward as a meditation teacher, like it or not, they're assuming a great deal of personal responsibility. Introducing ideas to other people and shaping the way they see the world. You have to be very mindful of the impact that you can have on another person. And a lot of these bad teachers, that's something that just hasn't even seem to have occurred to them. Um, what a meditation teacher has to do if someone uh, asks them to, to teach them something about meditation, well, that person has to do their very, very best to understand the person who's in front of them, understand that person's mind. Um, the question is not what it is that you want the other person to understand from a teacher's point of view. The question is, what's preventing that person from seeing it for themselves? And you can only understand other people's minds um, commensurate to how much self-understanding you've got. If you're blind to some aspect in your own character or personality or outlook, you'll be blind to that in the outlook, if that same outlook is in another person. If you don't see it in yourself, you won't see it in another person. Or some people have got a range of experience that completely outside of your own. You're a teacher of meditation, but people can have experienced all kinds of things you may never have experienced. And you've got to recognize your own limitations and don't step beyond those. Don't make things up if you don't if you don't really know. Don't sort of well, I think it's this. No, just admit when you're wrong or you don't know. Now, bad meditation teachers don't do that. They'll pluck any kind of stuff out of the air just because they think they've got to. Oh, I'm a meditation teacher. I better have something to say. Now, it cuts both ways. In transmitting an understanding of meditation, okay, the teacher needs to do their level best to understand the other person's mind. But that person is, if they approach somebody, oh, teach me about meditation or teach me what you know about meditation, that person is trying to understand the mind of the person who's offering information. So each person is trying to understand how the other person perceives things, understands things. And each person's trying to understand the other person's mind. Now, that's the responsibilities of a meditation teacher. They have to be acutely concerned with the welfare, the mental welfare of the person who approaches them. And a lot of people are quite sincere in their desire to teach meditation, but they're premature. A lot of them are premature. They haven't really cracked the nut themselves. They may have had some preliminary good experiences, or they might be on the right idea. But too many of these people um, jump uh, into it well before they're really capable of performing that task. Um, one common thing that I see with people who are, let's be generous and say they're all sincere. Let's not begrudge them that. They can have some meditation experience, and it enlivens them to an understanding. Oh, geez, didn't know that was part of living. Oh, that's pretty good. Oh, going to do that. Okay. Um, Too many of these people are self-impressed by very preliminary experiences. Um, there's a whole flotilla of people out there that are very immature in their practice, claiming, "Oh, I'm awakened. Whoa, I'm enlightened. Whoa, I know what's going on." And they talk with all the enthusiasm of somebody who's just discovered some new drug that turns them on. Um, yeah, they're sincere, and their sincerity is a bit of a trap. It's nice that they're sincere, but um, they jump into beliefs and narratives that have been around for centuries and have been disputed for centuries. Um, they seldom have done wide reading. They tend not to know that there's 101 different philosophies out there, all competing for your attention, all with a good story to tell, many of them possibly based on personal general experience and possibly revelation. But they're competing ideas. Um, they're suppositions. They're plausible plausible ideas about reality, unproven mostly. And all too often, people become very enthusiastic about something which has impressed them, but it's in isolation, it's out of context. There's so many other things that they might have stumbled across instead that also would have impressed them, and they'd be shouting that from the rooftops. Um, there's also uh, a capacity for people to maintain their delusions. Uh, Everybody starts meditating with a whole batch of mixed motives and confused ideas, some of which they're quite attached to and don't want to give up, don't really want to look into the depths of them. And meditation training, oh, I've been right all along. Here it goes. Yes, I knew I was right. And they become very insistent. Another thing with bad teachers is that they spend most of their time trying to convince you of what they believe to be true. This it's very hard sometimes to have a conversation with these people where they actually hear what you're saying and will think about it on equal terms with you. There's plenty of bad teachers out there, typically, have had some kind of genuine meditation experience, and their whole entire self-esteem rests on that. Um, they're like shipwrecked sailors bobbing around in the ocean, clutching onto anything that floats. Now, some of these people have got um, a lot of unresolved internal psychological issues, which they're blind to. They get some kind of meditation peak experience, and they cling to that like a shipwrecked sailor. And some of these teachers, they can quite easily gather quite a large following. They can fill their classrooms up. Uh, Sometimes people queuing out the door, because there are plenty of shipwrecked sailors out there looking for something to cling to. And these people speak with a great deal of apparent authority and conviction in glowing terms, and they're attractive to people who are in need of something to cling to. And the way they teach meditation characterizes that. They're clinging to their own beliefs, their own practices, their own experiences. They teach these techniques now, all these meditation techniques, they all do something. they all produce some kind of result, some of them extraordinary. And all these interpretations are applied to them. And frequently, it's diluted interpretations which fit a narrative that a person wants to believe is the explanation for all these odd things that might happen. And that's what they encourage other people to do, to interpret in exactly the same way. Now, there are plenty of these people out there, and they don't embody the characteristics of a good teacher or of a good person. A person that you are a good person. I don't mean to value judge, but you know, they're not pleasant necessarily to be around. You you might be attracted to their promises, but you're not sure you'd like to be friends with them. They can make you feel uncomfortable. And they're, well, in brief, that's sort of the bad teacher. And there's a lot of them on the internet, you know, all professing understanding. Okay, the next category, the weird, and there's plenty of those. What characterizes the weird ones? There's always something special about them. Uh, They've always got some really, really extraordinary story about themselves, about what they aim to do. And they're the conduit for you to partake in that. Everything revolves around them. And it's it's a bit like people believing that they're superheroes. And it's a characteristic of human psychology all through history. Human beings have done this sort of stuff. And I'm not too sure whether these people were mad at the beginning or just went mad. I tend to think that they're attracted to mysticism and esoteric things because it gives them a platform on which to play out their fantasies. And it's very, very hard for people to uh, dispute their claims. Uh, I think it's one of the sad things that this whole sort of topic of meditation, it does attract crazy people who want to then dominate and enforce their views. Uh, but as I say, it's a characteristic in human society. Uh, the idea, like alchemy, for instance, comes pretty much out of the Middle East. And, well, it comes from a culture that believes in magic lamps and magic wishes and genies that come out of bottles and things like that. Magical thinking. Uh, you get the same in Hinduism, the idea that you can imagine a god and acquire the attributes of that god. Well, that's magical thinking, and it's kind of a superhero mentality. Same thing with Taoism. The search for immortality. Now, and there are a whole lot of very complex traditions that have developed over time, where there are lots of people that are, you know, have got these multi-year programs that they put you through. You go through stage one up to stage excellent. Um, that's all based on fantasy, all based on being something other than a mere mortal. Uh, it's like people believe that the characters of Marvel comics are real. This is fantasy. It's for entertainment purposes only. You know. Recently, like the Harry Potter stories, so they were very good. And by all means, read them and enjoy them, and perhaps dress up and pretend you're a wizard, but don't take it any further than that. So, bottom line, bring you full circle. Meditation is something that you teach yourself by doing it. Right? Now, there's a very nice Sufi saying that imitation gold exists only because there is real gold. There's real gold out there, and people are quite happy to make imitations of it. Well, there's real meditation out there too, but there's a lot of imitation. And the only way you're really going to tell the difference is if you do it yourself and find out what is real for yourself. Now, meditation is something you teach for yourself. You learn a lot from people. You learn a lot from all of the people who are good, bad, and crazy. Uh, you can learn from the mistakes of others as well. Some of these crazy people with their mad delusions, well, it's easy to have that in a diluted form within yourself. If you see it in someone else, you say, oh, geez, oh, I don't want to do that. Well, there's something positive to be gained from that. But always, always, one good experience is worth 1,000 bad ones. So, uh, meditation teaches. A good meditation teacher is just a decent person, sincerely trying to understand their own life, and they've got a generosity and a willingness to share that with others who are interested to ask. So, see you later.